Yes, you can still eat pizza, donuts, pastries, and all of the carbs you love. And yes, you can lose weight in a sustainable way by having these foods in your diet. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going deep into probably one of my biggest frustrations when it comes to health and nutrition. I'm going to be talking about why I believe you should never be cutting carbs from your diet in an attempt to lose weight, and how to include carbs in your diet on a daily basis for sustainable weight loss. Yes, you can still eat pizza, donuts, pastries, and all of the carbs you love. And yes, you can lose weight in a sustainable way by having these foods in your diet. Keto dieters and other high protein dieters may not agree, and that's okay. I'm talking about sustainable weight loss. I'm not here to tell you how to lose weight fast or to promote diet trends. If I did that, I'd be going completely against everything I believe in and against what I know works for the long term. I really don't like to see people yo-yo dieting and experiencing extreme weight fluctuations due to constantly chasing the next diet trend in an attempt to lose weight quickly. I just want to provide you with information and what I know is a sustainable way to lose weight so you can make an educated decision for yourself. At the end of the day, it's completely your choice as to what diet and lifestyle you choose to live. However, I believe that for sustainable weight loss and weight management, carbs need to be an essential part of your diet. And I'm going to talk about why and how you can do this. If you're skeptical about eating a high carb diet and being able to lose weight, just take a look at plant-based athletes. Their diet is considerably higher in carbs than most, and they really don't seem to have any issue losing fat and building muscle. My next point is that no, this has nothing to do with genetics. Yes, some people have faster metabolisms than others, we do know this, but that has nothing to do with the foods you're eating. But first of all, let me point out some of the pitfalls of carbs, because yes, they do have a bad reputation, and yes, you can gain weight eating carbs just like any other macronutrient. Generally, foods high in carbs taste better. They just do. We all know this. That's why it's so easy to reach for them at any time of the day, but especially when you're feeling hungry. Carbohydrates also don't leave you feeling as satiated as high protein and high fat foods do. So I understand this is difficult for most people because it's so easy to consume too many calories from carbs in one sitting and go over your daily caloric requirement. However, you can gain weight by eating any food. It doesn't matter whether it's carbs, fats, or protein. Why is this? Because they contain calories. All food contains calories. So it's the surplus of calories in our bodies that cause us to gain weight, not the carbs or the macronutrient that you're eating. Here's an example. Let's say your daily caloric requirement is 2,000 calories and you consume 2,500 calories, and these calories come from all high protein foods. You're still going to gain weight because you've gone over your daily caloric requirements for maintenance. On the other end of the scale, let's say you consume 1,700 calories and these all come from very high carb foods. You're in a calorie deficit because if your calories for maintenance is 2,000 calories and you've eaten 1,700 and it come from carbs, then you're going to lose weight. It doesn't matter the fact that it come from carbs, fats, or proteins. What matters is whether you've gone above your daily caloric requirements or below your daily caloric requirements. So remember, when it comes to that, it's not about the carbs, it's about how many calories you're consuming on a daily basis, or whether or not that is putting you over your daily caloric requirements for maintenance. If carbs were the culprit when it comes to gaining weight, I would have gained a ton of weight when I switched to a plant-based diet because my carb intake tripled. I eat so many more carbs now than I ever did. Another downfall of eating too many carbs is that it can really affect your mood, especially if you're prone to eating highly processed foods which are high in the wrong types of carbohydrates. This causes a dopamine release which makes us feel really good, but then we end up crashing again pretty quickly. It's very short-lived. So what do we do when we crash? We look for something that's going to give us that feeling, to make us feel good again, and often that is reaching for the wrong types of carb-rich foods. So as you can see, it's really easy to get caught in an unhealthy cycle here. You may already even be in one, so that's why it's so important that you create discipline and be respectful of carbs. Okay, so next let me explain the important role carbs have in our bodies and why we need them on a daily basis. Carbs are our body's main energy source. So when you consume these types of foods, your body breaks down the carbs into glucose, which is the type of sugar, which then raises the level of glucose in your blood. Your body uses the glucose as fuel to keep you going throughout the day and sustain your energy levels. So when you do a workout, for example, or if you're just moving around your house, doing housework, whatever it might be, your body is using energy. It's burning calories, and it's calling on the calories from carbohydrates first to use as energy. So how do keto dieters get their energy if they're consuming only trace amounts of carbs? I'm not going to go into this in any deep way, but what happens is their body goes into a state called ketosis. And in this state, your body doesn't draw on carbohydrates as the primary energy source, it draws on fat stores instead. This is why many people find they lose weight quickly on keto, and I completely agree, you do. Keto diet is a great diet for helping you lose weight. However, I do not believe it is sustainable long-term for most people. You need to be extremely disciplined to stay in ketosis and not be tempted by carb-rich foods. So that means no oatmeal, bread, pasta, rice, pastries, many fruits, many veggies, candy, beer, wine, because the moment you start including these foods in your diet again, it kicks you out of ketosis. And for many people, eventually this will happen. There is just too much temptation, and we need to be realistic here. So that is why I personally don't go recommending diets like this, because I know eventually people will go off them and most likely put the weight back on that they lost. It has nothing to do with whether or not I believe these diets work to help you lose weight. It's about whether these diets are sustainable long-term so you can live a healthy, balanced life and not feel like you're constantly on a diet and chasing that weight loss. If you look at so many of the cultures around the world and all the different traditional dishes, carbs are a huge part of our diet. In my opinion, it's just unreasonable to try and exclude them from your diet completely. It's only setting you up for failure. I don't even recommend excluding them from your diet temporarily in an attempt to lose weight, because the moment you reintroduce them to your diet, you will likely put that weight back on, and that's because you haven't created a healthy relationship with carbs and a way to include them in your diet in a healthy, balanced way. Looking for that short-term fix always comes with repercussions. If you're part of that minority who have successfully avoided carbs for many years, you feel good, you're healthy, and this works for you, keep going this way. I'm not trying to change that or say that that is the wrong way to go. We are all different, and what works for one might not work for the other. I'm just speaking for the majority of people who will not be able to avoid carbs in the long term. So how can we include these in our diets for sustainable long-term weight management? Well, first of all, it's important that we understand the 3 different types of carbohydrates: fibrous carbs, starches, and simple carbs. First of all, let's start with fibrous carbs. These are a great energy source, and of course they're high in fiber, which leaves you feeling full for longer. So this is great for keeping you satiated and can help you stop overeating. Also, high fiber foods are great for your digestive health. These types of carbs are higher in vitamins and minerals than the starchy carb cousins. So this is another benefit to consuming these foods and why it's important to get these foods in your diet on a daily basis. Then you've got starchy carbs. So like simple carbs, they are a form of sugar. However, because they're made up of more complex chains, they don't have the same impact on our blood sugar levels like simple sugars, which send our blood sugar levels spiking and then crashing rather quickly. Foods like grains, rice, pasta, potatoes, oats are all considered starchy carbs. These types of carbs take longer to break down, so they're released into the bloodstream slower, which provide energy over a longer period of time. The thing with these types of carbs though is they taste really good, and they're a big part of many cultures. Therefore, it's very easy to overconsume these foods, which causes the calories to bump up pretty quickly and can cause weight gain. So that is something you need to create discipline with if you want to manage your weight in a healthy way long term. And finally, there's simple carbs. Your body just does not need these types of foods to function ever. But we do find that these simple sugars are extremely addictive and a huge contributor to weight gain. Foods such as chocolate, candy, and all your high sugar desserts make up simple carbohydrates. All that good sweet tasting food that we find ourselves reaching for mid-afternoon, late at night after dinner, when we're feeling high, when we're feeling low, and everything in between. They're the types of foods that are just, they taste good, we love them, and it's so easy to eat them. If you find you're in a habit of eating these simple sugars regularly, you'll find that you're reaching for them often, and it creates a dopamine kick, which is a feel-good chemical. So it gives you that high, and then very quickly though sends you into a low, and to get out of that low you find yourself reaching for those carbs again. They actually work very simple to the effects alcohol have on you. Not the same, but similar. These types of foods send your blood sugar levels spiking and then crashing. They play havoc with your energy levels, your moods, your sleep patterns, your hair, teeth, skin, and they're just foods to avoid. Now, I know that's not realistic for most people. It's not realistic for me. I don't completely eliminate these foods from my diet. I definitely include desserts, pastries, chocolate candy in my diet, and I do it regularly, but I just don't do it in high quantities, and it's not the staple part of my diet. So I do base my diet around good whole foods, and that's a mix of carbohydrates, fats, and protein, as well as including simple sugars in my diet. But I've created discipline, and I have a good respect for carbohydrates. I know what they can do if I have too many of them, and that's the key here. I've created that healthy balance with how much of that I will consume. I know how much I can consume because of how they make me feel in general, which isn't really that good. So how can you monitor your carb intake? Well, one way you can do this is by checking the nutritional info on the back of the packets. So see how many carbs are in there and see how many carbs are actually coming from sugars, because it will give you that breakdown of total carbohydrates, and then it will say carbs from sugars. My theory is that if the carbohydrates from sugars exceeds 20% of the total carbohydrates, I won't eat it, or I'll avoid eating it most times. This isn't every time, but this is just something to work with, and it helps me, and I'm sure it will help you too if you go by that guideline. Like any food, if you consume too many carbs, especially starchy carbs, if that food is not used as energy, it will be stored in the body in the form of fat. This is why overeating and lack of exercise is a recipe for serious weight gain. So guys, it's up to you to create discipline and to not over consume these types of foods, or any food for that matter. Have treats. I'm all about balance, and I will never tell you to exclude anything from your diet. However, do it in a way that's respectful of your body. Any long-lasting change for the better requires discipline. There's just no other way to do it. You just have to take responsibility and quit looking for short-term solutions that don't work. My advice is educate yourself on nutrition and stay consistent, because consistency is key to achieving results in anything. So how do you plan your meal when it comes to carbs? Well, here's a really simple way to do it, and it doesn't require any calorie counting, because if you watch my channel and you know me, I do not count calories. I never will, and I'll never try and get you to count calories either. So your plate ideally should be divided by 1/3 proteins and 2/3 starchy and fibrous carbs. The majority of the carb portion should be your fibrous carbs, with the smaller portion being starchy carbs. For example, your protein source could be tofu, tempeh, chicken, fish, whatever lean protein you like to eat. And your fibrous carbs could come from broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. Then you could have your starchy carbs of sweet potato, rice, pasta, beans. So that's just an example of a meal I might make for myself, and just how you can set up your meals. Now, I know realistically every meal is not going to look like this, but if you can try and make your meals like that for the majority of the time, and they can still be extremely delicious and healthy and interesting, and changing them up all the time. Believe me, I make bowls and I change them up all the time, and I never get bored with my meals, and I manage to include carbs, fats, and proteins in a healthy way in pretty much all of my meals that I make. Another wee tip here is how you're going to work around your plate. Now, I tend to try and eat my protein first because I really like it, and I know that I need to get protein in my diet because I do work out a lot, and protein is extremely important for growth, strength, and repair. And then I'll eat my fibrous carbs, and I usually save my starchy carbs for last. I like to do this because if I do get full, I know that I've had the most important nutrients first. Most times I will eat my entire meal anyway, but I do like to just leave the starchy carbs to last. But that's just something I've created for myself, and a little tip that you might like to go away with too. So guys, as a final important tip here before we wrap up, your diet plan should complement your exercise training plan. What you consume has a huge impact on the results you get from your workouts. Although the types of foods you consume is the most important factor when it comes to losing weight by a long shot, how you sculpt your physique and the energy required to perform your workouts depends largely on your diet. Carbohydrates provide the fuel to get you through the workouts, and protein is the building blocks for growth, strength, and repair. That's why, guys, it's really important to structure your meal plan in a way that's going to help you achieve the results from your workouts. So in my opinion, excluding carbs from your diet is going to see you fail in the long term. As I said, I'm never after a short-term fix. I'll never promote diets or diet trends that help you lose weight in the short term, only to see you failing and putting that weight back on again. Nutrition should never be seen as a challenge or having an end goal. It should be seen as a lifestyle, and a lifestyle that you enjoy, that works for you and can help you achieve sustainable weight loss. If you want to feel fit and feel good year round and not have to avoid foods, namely carbs, then learn how to include them in your diet in a balanced and sustainable, respectful way. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope that helped you out a little bit, helps you understand carbs, how they work in your body, and how you can include them daily and make them an essential part of your diet. Thanks for listening, guys, and we'll see you next time.